Hello everyone. In this video I just wanted to go through a case study where we look at data-driven insights. In my opinion, sometimes it can be actually difficult for organizations to grasp, first of all, what is a data-driven insight? How can I apply that to our organization? What insights might we be missing? We've been working for the organization for maybe 5, 6, 7 years. How is someone supposed to spot insights that we haven't spotted whenever they're only looking through our data maybe for a couple of hours? And that's a very valid question, and it can be sometimes difficult to try and showcase that to clients, the value of their data. But in this video, you'll be able to see a really huge valuable insight that we found for a bagel shop franchise. Before I go through the case study, I actually just wanted to share an article from Lindsay Shields, who is the head of data and analytics at Danske Bank UK. This is a very applicable article for us, as we actually help credit unions with their data and with helping them find insights within their data, helping them with automation and digital transformation. I'll share a link to this article in the video of the description below, and there's quite a few very interesting quotes in here. But the one quote that really stood out was this one, which is within the power of the data section. And Lindsay said, when we find data that are unexpected in our data, it's magic. And the case study that we're going to go through right now is a prime example of that. So just to give a little bit of context before I walk through this visualization and the analysis that we did. This is, again, a bagel shop franchise. They have 3 shops and they're very popular and very busy. And they opened, before I did the analysis, from Tuesdays to Sundays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. They were always closed on Mondays. And whenever I looked at the analysis, the first thing that I looked at was how many orders were they getting weekdays and weekends. It was important to split that out because you'd obviously expect them to be busier on weekends. So this orange line splits the average orders out from the weekends per day and per hour, and the column chart here only looks at weekdays. So the thing that jumped out at me straight away was this last column here. So essentially this bagel shop, this is only one of the bagel shops, it's not all 3 combined, but this trend was applicable to the other 2 as well. They're only receiving on average 5 orders in that specific hour, and that's not really surprising, as not that many people would go get a bagel in between 3 and 4 p.m. Most people would probably wait until dinner at that time, or they would obviously get one at lunchtime, which is from 12 to 2 is the busiest time. So to take that a step further, and where Power BI is much more powerful than your generic ERP dashboards or reports, this client uses Lightspeed POS system, and they do provide some valuable reports. But the analysis that we did here just wouldn't be possible with Lightspeed. And it's not what Lightspeed was built for, so it's not really their fault. But what we wanted to do was we wanted to calculate, okay, what's the average order or receipt value in this specific hour? So with Power BI, that's very easy to do. So I'm actually going to drop in that calculation here just so it's easy to see. So you can see here that the average receipt value, I actually forgot to change this back to 3 to 4 p.m. So I'll change it from 3 to 4 p.m. and then show you from 12 to 1 p.m. again now in a second. So whenever we're looking at 3 to 4 p.m., your average receipt value is 11.60. And as I just shared there, it was from 12 to 1, it was €13. So not a huge change, but whenever you apply that across the 5 orders on average every day, multiply that by every day of the week, and then multiply that by 3 shops, it does add up. So, and I wanted to make sure whenever I was going to provide a recommendation to the client, you want to obviously use the most accurate information and data. So it was important to actually track, okay, what's the average receipt value in that hour? And again, that was 11.60. So whenever I look at that, then you obviously need to take into account, okay, we need to take off what's the cost of the foods, the food that we're going to be making. So around 70% margin this client was hitting. So whenever you take that into consideration, you have your €60 revenue, which is around your 11.60 multiplied by your 5 orders, And then whenever you take off the 30% cost of foods, you're around €40. Whenever you take into account what is the cost of labour in that hour, it's not that expensive. There's only 2 staff members needed in the last hour of business, so €30 around on average. And then we have light and heat as well, which is around €10 for that hour. Whenever you take in all those costs into consideration, which essentially is the cost of opening in that hour, doesn't make any sense to incorporate obviously the cost of rent into this calculation. Essentially this client was only breaking even, not losing money but not making money. So whenever I remembered that the client didn't open up on Mondays, I thought there might be some potential here. So what I did was I said, okay, how many orders are they receiving on average during the week? And this is only on one day, so let's say Tuesday. They're receiving on average 25 orders in 1 hour only. And then from 12 to 2, they're really receiving 40 orders. Where if you look at it, from 3 to 4, they're only receiving 5. So that's basically from Tuesday to Friday. On the weekends, they're doing okay. This is Saturday and Sunday. They're getting around 10. So from Tuesday to Friday, they're only receiving 5 orders a day. So that multiplies out to around 20 orders. Whereas they're beating that in 1 hour alone from 12 to 1. So the suggestion here to the client was close 1 hour earlier. So close at 3 p.m. from Tuesday to Friday. The weekends is fine, you can stay open. And open up on Mondays from 10 until 2. They actually opened up from 9, just they wanted to keep it consistent with the other days. But what we were expecting to happen there was, or what I forecast to happen was an increase in revenue of in between 5 and 8%. And how did I do that calculation? Well, I looked at how many orders are they receiving from 10 until 2 on the other days, on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And they were hitting around 60 to 70 orders. So whenever I did the calculations, it looked like it was going to generate, again, a 5 to 8% increase in revenue. So whenever you apply that 5 to 8% increase in revenue, we want to look at that over the whole year. So if we jump over here, this is only 6 months of data for this particular bagel shop, as they only opened up halfway through the year. And you can see the revenue is 230k. Whenever you multiply that by 2, you get your 460,000. Whenever you apply a conservative 5% increase there, you're getting €23,000 in extra revenue. Whenever you multiply that by 3 shops, you're getting 70,000. And whenever you take off the cost of the food, which is around 30%, you're looking at €50,000 extra in profit, and that's pure profit. Because when you think of it, all you're doing is you're moving your cost in this hour, which is from Tuesday to Friday, to a different day of the week. So your labour staying the same, your light and heat staying the same. So an extra 50,000 in profit across all 3 shops, and that's only for 1 year. So that was a really, really valuable data-driven insight that we found for this client. It actually has resulted in a 10% increase in revenue, which is around an overall increase in profit of around 42%. And again, the reason the profit has went up so much is because that is essentially pure profit. Whenever you compare it to, you're just really moving your cost to a different day of the week, but you're increasing your orders by over 100% really. So I thought that was a good example of a really good data-driven insight that we had found for a client, and hopefully that gives people an idea of the insights that you can find within your data. And just to give a little bit of background, the actual owner of the business, he's owned this bagel franchise shop for multiple years, and he had communicated to me why they didn't open on Mondays, and the reason in his head was, well, we're not located beside offices, so he didn't think they would be busy enough to be open on Mondays. So he had thought of doing it, but he didn't have the data to make a decision. So and essentially that is the job of data analysis. It's to give the owner or anyone, any decision makers within an organization, it's to give them data so you can make a decision based on facts rather than assumptions. So yeah, just wanted to give a quick example of how we spot insights within organizations' data.